Hi, my name is Tatum Puti and I'm a disability justice advocate. I am the founder and director of an organization that focuses on disability justice called Enabled Enlightenment. And I also am a Generation G champion working in Orange Farm to eliminate gender-based violence and femicide. So my activism, how it contributes to eradicating violence against women and girls, is to bring experiences of people with disabilities, because these are people who are often left behind, people who aren't often, in those conversations and yet are the most marginalized. So I used my lived experience to shape the activism, also empowering those with disabilities to speak out against different injustices that they experienced in or experienced with, to ensure that we have enough narrative to help us influence how activism is done, or to ensure that our voices are also included in the fight against gender-based violence. Having people who are trained through the different work that we do, who are sensitized and who are able to then start identifying, different forms of abuse and violence that they're experiencing, and having them to speak out against those things, or maybe coming to seek for help pertaining to the different experiences that they have. I can say that is a milestone, because these are conversations that are often had in the corridors, but having people come and say, after the session or after this workshop that we've had, these are some of the things I'm taking away for myself, and also just asking to be linked, to the service providers that can assist them. I think for me that is a milestone. Though I believe that there's still more that can be done to ensure that we eradicate gender-based violence from an early age, like having things like having conversations with young men and boys, including men as allies on the fight. So we can strengthen the fight by collaborating, working together, and forming allyship that is uncensored, having young men and boys in the room, having persons with disabilities in the room, having a proper representation of all the marginalized group being part of the conversations, and not making assumptions or making decisions on anyone's behalf, but consulting and ensuring that if it's programmatic work that we're coming up with, let us ensure that all the voices are represented and we are able to suit our programs to address all the marginalized groups. And for private sector to fund the fight against gender-based violence, because we know that companies that are listed on JSE haven't really shown much commitment into funding the work around gender-based violence, or let alone having those kind of conversations within their institutions. We know there's a lot of sexual harassment happening in the workplace, but these are things that are often swept under the carpet. For government to be held accountable, how do we have policies that are not speaking to each other? What are we doing to ensure that policies speak to each other? For instance, Department of Justice is speaking to social development, it's speaking, to the Department of Health, specifically when we come into issues of reporting things such as sexual gender-based violence or sexual assault. So it really requires a collaborative effort for all parties involved to come to the table, or even move the table and start strategizing to say, how can we all play our part, because we are equally responsible for the damage. When barriers are removed, people with disabilities can be free and equal in society, with freedom and choice over their lives. So it's important that we acknowledge the existence of persons with disabilities, and not only have conversations with them because it is Disability Awareness Month, but let us recognize and acknowledge their existence throughout the year, and ensure that even in our programmatic work we are inclusive and creating inclusive environments. United activism against violence on women, girls, children, and marginalized groups.